A lot of people have been arguing with me that cerebral palsy cannot be caused in the womb. Cannot. They are insistent. You cannot develop cerebral palsy before you are born or through actual injury. Right here I've asked, can domestic violence cause cerebral palsy? Exposure to dangerous toxins such as mercury can increase risk of birth defects and cerebral palsy. Domestic violence can cause physical injuries that directly damage the child's brain and prevent regular development during pregnancy. Substance abuse can lead to cerebral palsy. Cerebral palsy is one of the results of traumatic brain damage. Cerebral palsy is usually caused by injury to the developing brain before, during, or shortly after childbirth. So yes, a child in the mother's womb that was sat on by their father could possibly get brain damage and develop cerebral palsy from that abuse. An acquired brain injury is a damage that might affect a person at any age, from infancy through old age. Cerebral palsy, in some cases, may be the result of an acquired brain injury. When damage comes after birth, treatments and therapies can help people recover. A brain injury is an acquired injury after birth. Some kind of external injury, like a blow to the head, or an internal cause, like an infection or a stroke, causes damage to the brain that results in an ABI. An ABI can occur at any point in a person's life, from infancy through adulthood. Any damage to or malformation in the brain that occurs before a baby is born is considered congenital rather than acquired. Damage to the brain by a degenerative disorder like Alzheimer's or Parkinson is not considered an acquired brain injury. I'm trying to find what is specifically to cerebral palsy. Sorry, hold on. Cerebral palsy is usually caused by injury to the developing brain. Before, during, or shortly after birth. Before, during, or shortly after birth. Before, during, or shortly after birth. This I received this morning from Scandal Sheet at Hotmail. Just so you know, Bella didn't get cerebral palsy because your dad beat your mother while she was pregnant. That's not how it happens. I have a cousin who was born at half term because she had cerebral palsy and she was having seizures while in her mother's womb. Cerebral palsy is a genetic thing. You're born with it. You don't develop it. Did you know about 70% of cerebral palsy cases result from a birth injury? This is a message between me and one of my cousins, aunts, cousins, whatever. I asked her, did he beat my mom the day Ronnie Jr. was born? He, implying my father. Did my father beat my mother the day that Ronnie Jr. was born? Something that Mima always said, that Ronnie was the way he was because my dad tried to kill him in utero thinking he was a girl. The response was, he did. I'm sorry to tell you that. He did. Did he beat my mom the day Ronnie Jr. was born? That's the question. It's a very simple question. Did he beat my mom the day Ronnie Jr. was born? And the response is, he did. He did. He did. Look at that. Did he beat my mother the day that my little brother was born? He did. So y'all want to keep arguing with me about things that you don't understand. Okay, page highlights. What causes cerebral palsy? Brain damage, the location of brain damage, and CP caused by medical negligence. What causes cerebral palsy? Cerebral palsy is usually caused by an injury to the developing brain during or shortly after childbirth. Damage to different parts of the brain can result in different types of cerebral palsy. Brain damage can cause problems with motor control, coordination, and balance. The level of disability depends on the severity and physical and neurological symptoms. According to the Center for Disease Control, 85 to 90% of all cerebral palsy cases are congenital, related to brain damage that happened before or during birth. Before meaning while still in the womb. Like when my mother was being beat by my father before my little brother was born. There are several common causes of brain damage that can result in cerebral palsy. These factors can cause abnormal development of the brain depending on the severity of brain injury. Asphyxiation, brain hemorrhage, brain trauma, genetic causes, low birth weight, maternal infections, newborn infections, premature birth, severe jaundice, causes so these are all things that could cause cerebral palsy. Now, obviously, we would be looking at probably brain trauma. Head injuries may occur during labor or delivery or within the first several years of life. Yes, this guy is saying it's something you're born with and stuff, but cerebral palsy can literally come about later in life, and it can come about due to trauma to the brain. Y'all don't know what you're talking about. You just want to defend my father without understanding the situation. Yes, people can be born with cerebral palsy without there being any abuse involved. There was abuse involved in my little brother's case.